where fine spirits meet. And today, you can see it, I'm here at Ardbeg. I've been here a couple of times, but unfortunately I've never been able to do a distillery video yet. But today we're gonna have a look at what Ardbeg is doing, and there's a lot of new stuff going on at Ardbeg. So let's get in and find out. The history of Ardbeg begins 1794, but as all distilleries start, they started with illegal distilling. They got their first legal distilling in 1815. Yes, it was illegal to distill on the Isles before 1823 because the taxman could sail to the Isles. And the family who founded distilleries were the MacDougals, and they were descendants of the Lord of the Isles. The Lord of the Isles were very powerful clans together under the Lord of the Isle, and they were situated here on Islay. So this is up at the Finlagan ruins, and I think the coast down there is a castle, and that was the political side was inside the Isle, and the castle was the military branch near the coast. Yeah, so that was the founding of the distillery in 1815. What was really a milestone for distilling was around 1843, two women, Margaret and Flora, were the first managers of the distillery for a brief period of time. Yeah, then in the first half of the 20th century, the distillery was closing, opening, closing, opening. It was just a very bad time for whiskey because we had a world war, we had a depression, we had a prohibition in the United States. Beforehand, we had the Civil War, where there was a boycott, and then we had the Second World War. We had forbidden whiskey making. So it was a really bad time for the distillery, a lot of opening, a lot of closing. In 1959, the distillery actually went private as a private company under the leadership of actually one of the MacDougals, and it was then the Ardbeg Distilling Ltd. So it was a private company with private investors, but it was still under the leadership of the family. And then in 1974, the distillery was actually then sold to Hiram Walker, which later became Allied to Mac. So they were kind of part of a big company. And in 1981, it was actually so bad that there was a bit of a crisis with the blends, and the distillery was closed down. Luckily, they were now part of Allied to Mac, which Laphroaig was also part of. So the distillers, or the people, the workers from Laphroaig were periodically sent over to Ardbeg, and they were wetting the wash bags and a bit of maintenance going on. So the distillery was not really closed down and left for dead, but it was actually mothballed and kept a bit into shape. So the distillery could reopen in 1989. And that was really, really good, because that's what we're enjoying right now, and that's nearly 40 years ago. So we do have a bit of an old stock of Ardbeg as well. So they later then in 1997 actually got bought by Glenmorangie PLC. Yes, Glenmorangie, the Highland distillery, bought Ardbeg, and they actually brought them really up to a modern distillery. So they opened 1 year later in 1998. They opened a visitor center, and Ardbeg really became a single malt. Back in the day, it was just blend, and then we had a bit of like MacDougall Island whiskey or something like that, but now it became really Ardbeg single malt. In 2004, Glenmorangie and Ardbeg got bought by Louis Vuitton Moët Hennessy, and Louis Vuitton Moët Hennessy do know how to do marketing. We all know the marketing at Ardbeg is a bit more glamorous, like the handbags and like the champagne, and so let's have a look and see how Louis Vuitton, Moët Hennessy and Ardbeg are doing, and how Ardbeg whiskey is made. So it all starts with an old Bobby mill from Robert Bobby from 1921. So a mill that is over 100 years old. And back in the days, it was actually powered by water. So it was a water mill. And today they do 26 batches of barley with 5 tons per week. And it's really reliable and really old, but it really works very, very well. So let's continue. This old cast iron mash tun from 1961 is actually just the outside, because the one from 99, a stainless steel semi-lauter tun, is the inside. But I love that they kept the outside. It still looks old, rugged material from worked for hundreds of years. And the new one is modern semi-lauter tun, efficient, more reliable, constant quality, and it's really working fine. But they still got an improvement over the last years. They got an automatic cleaning system. They don't have to climb in and clean out every single time, which is really, really good. As they had the production increase their production capacity, it was a bit of a discussion about is the mash tun gonna have enough capacity? But yes, it does. But now they are pretty much at capacity. You can't go much higher with more production now because of the mash tun. So next time they increase their production capacity, they have to do something with the mash tun for sure. This here is the old wash room of the distillery of Ardbeg. Here we have the old 6 wash bags. They're all made of Douglas fir, which is kind of Oregon pine. And they're all made of that because I found a rumor online that 3 of them were made of larch, and people here said no, they're all made of Douglas fir. And as they had a production increase, they had to have more of them, but they didn't find a lot of space here, so they took out the old grain hoppers and put in 4 new Douglas fir wash bags. And also they have another building where they have another 2 wash bags, kind of experimental ones, but they can use them for normal production as well. And so in total they have now 12 wash bags, and so kind of a doubling in capacity, but they are distributed around 3 buildings. It's just if you're a historic site and you're growing historically, that's what you're ending up with. Nonetheless, it works really fine. The fermentation takes around 66 hours to 71 hours. It has always been at Ardbeg this variation because of the fact that you have 23,000 liters and about half of that goes into the wash still. So the other half sits another certain period of time in there and ferments a bit more. The style, what you want to have with the wash is creamy, waxy, fruity wash with texture, what they say here, and you have a lot of things to fiddle around with, kind of the clear wort, cloudy wort situation, then temperatures and durations, and also the fact that you have lactic bacterial in the wood. So this is all done exactly how Ardbeg wants to have it. And with this nicely fermented juice, we go into the still room. Here in the still house is where the magic happens. This is the new still house. The old still house still does exist. You can have a tour through it, but it's decommissioned. The stills are not running. There are old pictures on the wall. Everything is silent. It's everything, the equipment is still there, but they're actually not allowed to use it. All the magic happens here in the new still house, where the equipment is exactly as the old one, also built by Richard Forsyth. So he still probably had the plans for the old stills and made them exactly like the old ones. So what are we doing here? The wash still is filled with 11,750 liters, is exactly half of a wash bag, and it actually runs twice when the spirit still runs once. So this runs pretty fast and the spirit still runs a bit slower, so better alcohol separation. So the low wines that come off from the wash still are 4,700 liters, twice
Then we have foreshots and feints from the last run, and the spirit still runs then with 13,500 liters, which is quite a lot because and unusual, because you have more in the spirit still than the wash still. This is just because they run it really, really fast, and they run it twice. Yeah. Then let's talk about a little bit about the character. The character that Ardbeg wants to have is actually very fresh, grassy, like methyl, and they don't want to have their phenolic character distilled out, so that's also a big point. So how they do it is they have a lamp-shaped still. Also, the still is not filled to capacity. It's a bit bigger than it should be. And they also have a purifier. And the purifier also takes out the heavy vapors, the heavy tasting notes in there, and puts it back in the pot, and then it gets recycled and only the lighter vapors get through. There is one Ardbeg with it's called the heavy vapors, where they block it, and all the heavy vapors actually get into the new make, and that's then the Ardbeg heavy vapors. Kind of a cool trick. It's actually a whiskey kind of made by the production team. Yeah, and then we have, in the end, we have the cutting points. They only have 10 minutes of foreshots, so you have the foreshots a bit smaller, so you get more of the lighter characters in. And then you have the feints. The second cutting point is also a bit earlier, so you're missing out a bit more of the heavier tones, heavier flavors. So you have the cuts really a bit more onto the fresher methyl side as well. So yeah, and let's talk a little about the production capacity, because Ardbeg used to be always like, yeah, they have 1 million capacity, and then people tweaked it a bit and they got up to 1.2 and maybe 1.4 in the end. And now they actually have a capacity of 2.8 million liters per year, which is quite a lot. This year is kind of, yeah, they're still a bit getting into it, but their target is 2.5 million liters per year, which is also a lot. So that is good news for the whiskey industry, because in 5 years' time, we're gonna have more 5-year-old, and in 10 years' time, we're gonna have more 10-year-old, and in between, we're gonna have more of the other non-age statement whiskies, which is really good, because there's gonna be more ample supply of Ardbeg whiskies going around. Always a good thing. So yeah, that's the distillation, and let's see how the whiskey is traveling into the casks. With the increased production capacity, we need to do more casking per week. So they actually switched around a little bit the casking process. It's not done next to the main yard anymore, but actually done in a warehouse back here on the end part of the distillery. And they actually now have to do it 4 times a week. They get a lot of bourbon barrels, first fill, second fill. Then we have a lot of sherry casks here, as you can see. And there's also Madeira casks and tons of other casks. And there's always special casks around here. Some casks are probably special casks. You can't see it because there's something special inside here. Ardbeg likes to do a lot of experiments because, yeah, that's Ardbeg. They have at least 1 special edition per year, usually 2. Yeah, so what is also very interesting is they have a marrying vat that is for the An Oa. It's a big vat, like the size of a washbag, maybe a little smaller, and you dump a lot of casks in there. Well, you dump the whiskey off the casks in there, and it gets married together. When you get the recipe just right, then it's off to the it's actually just waiting for a few months in that marrying tank, and then it's off to the bottling plant, which is done off-site. So it's really, really nice in here. A lot of Danish style warehouses here on premise, so bricked walls, heavy stone bricked walls, stamped earthen floor, and very near to the sea, and only stored 3 casks high, and if you have sherry casks, then only 2 casks high. It's just safety reasons, yeah. And yeah, that is the maturing and filling of casks here at Ardbeg. And now we're gonna have a tasting of the Ardbegs, and I really love to know how they're gonna taste here at the distillery. So this is it with the production, and now we're having a little interview with Colin Gordon.
Hello, sir.
You've done your masters in brewing and distilling 11 years ago. Now 11 years in the whiskey industry, not always as a distiller.
A bit of malting as well. I did. You had to learn both. That's important. So.
Yeah, and so now 2.5 years here at Ardbeg. So thank you very much for having us, and yeah, you showed us around Port LA maltings. Thank you for that as well.
That's right. It was. I remember it, and you didn't get very many visits at the maltings. You know, lots of people wanted to come in, but the doors were often closed. So
yeah, it was very interesting to see such a malting, how that is going on.
It's like. I think that was the thing when we were learning as well. It was like really important to learn both sides, because if you don't get it right at the malt, it's going to be difficult to get the whiskey you want.
Yeah, whiskey is a lot about ingredients.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, if you don't have the quality, then you don't get the quality whiskey. Yeah. So yeah, it's really a long video now. So what are we having today?
Okay, so we've got a selection of Ardbegs. So we're going to kick off with the Wee Beastie, Ardbeg 5-year-old, and then we're going to move through a few. So
Wee Beastie. So that is not just a play on like beast, but is it like Wee Beastie? Isn't it?
Well, I think what we wanted to do. So Ardbeg, quite often we don't put age statements on quite a few of the core range, and what we wanted to do with Wee Beastie was everyone knew that young Ardbeg worked well. So when we sort of got going again as a distillery, 1997, when Glenmorangie bought Ardbeg, we started laying down some stock again, and eventually we started going with the PT pathway. You know, very young, still young, almost there, and it was 6, 7, 8 years old, right up to the 10-year-old. So people knew young Ardbeg worked well. So we wanted to bottle something that was full of distillery character and flavour and an unashamed young whiskey. So we put the 5-year stamp on it, and it's a Wee Beastie. You know, it's a Scottish term. It's a Wee Beastie. It's powerful and fiery and full of character.
Isn't like a Wee Beastie also a midgie?
Yeah, it has a bite to it. You know?
It has a bite to it. But it's a bit of a play on words, and I do love it. It's matured very well, I would say.
Like we use a mix of refill ex-bourbon casks and ex-Oloroso sherry casks.
Oh, there's refill in it as well.
Yeah. So, and we want to get the balance right. Obviously, we don't add colour at Ardbeg, so this is all natural colour. So you can see lots of activity from the casks, but we still want to promote that distillery character punch, those citrusy, citrusy notes mixed with these big sooty, smoky, oily notes. So it's all about, Ardbeg's all about balance, and Wee Beastie bringing the age down really promotes that.
Oh yeah, and I love the smokiness really comes through. Yeah, if you have a very, very old whiskey, the smokiness tends to get smaller. Yeah. Yeah, and this one has just a beast kick to it.
You get like this lovely like tarry note, like tar and almost like a smoked meat. Like I kind of always get like a smoky bacon or something.
But still, you have also like the what you said, citrus, bit of a fresh note. And today I've learned that the methyl note within the distilling, and it has a bit of a fresh note to it as well. Really.
We get this incredible. You something get like a herbal note as well from Ardbeg, from the new make spirit we run off.
Yeah, herbal, yeah.
And some of that really comes through. Like a chocolatey sweetness to it as well.
Yeah, sweetness is also there present a lot, but that is probably a bit of first fill in there as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So we do. We like to mix it up a bit and just make sure there's some of the woodiness and the mellowness from the match.
It's a good mixture. Good mixture. Yeah. Okay, cheers.
Cheers. You often get a lovely, great mouthfeel to Ardbeg. It's unchilled filtered. It's good strength, 47.4.
Oh yeah, I was about to say that. It has a good kick to it.
And again, that is where Dr. Bill Lums and the Whisky Creation team, they felt that really sort of amplified what we wanted with the Wee Beastie. But you get that such a, like for a young whiskey, there is a real like sweetness and that citrus, like almost like a lemony tang to it. But again, that lovely mouth coating wood smoke, and it's good.
Yeah, that is the thing. It's smoky, It has a bit of a phenolic touch to it, but just a little bit. Main one is more of a bonfire at sea or a chimney or something like that.
Yeah, sooty, like the embers.
Yeah, and a little bit of that phenolic touch, a little bit of that as well. So a little bit of a marine flavor, but not too much. With enough sweetness and
yeah, you do get like a briny, like a quite like a sort of brine, like a salty sort of note that. See,
at the beginning.
There.
At the beginning, and then it comes fire.
It's great. It's brilliant. Great mouthfeel. So no, it's been I mean, it became part of the core range back in just a few years ago, 2020. So it's not been with us long, but it's been a great addition to the lineup.
Yeah, I love it that everybody who adds a new whiskey to the range, they go like, yeah, we need one older, and oh, that's so hard to do, and it takes courage. Everybody and like experts say, yeah, just put a 5 on it,
I know.
and you did.
Yeah, I know. A lot of people I know they would be sort of hanging off doing that, but no, it worked. We wanted to show that it's young and what it is, it's vibrant and youthful and powerful, but even though it packs a punch, but there's great, like it all comes down to balance. But Bill and the team, they're superb at what they do in terms of bringing together our whiskies.
Yeah, I like it. So with you here at Ardbeg, you're not part of Diageo, and you're getting your malt. Do you get malt from Port Ellen? Because in the press we have horror stories like no more malt for anything but Diageo. How is the situation? You know it best.
Well, I do, and I mean when I worked at Port Ellen Maltings, like, well, what we're now 6-7 years ago, you would put out a lot of external malt to Ardbeg, to Laphroaig. I mean, what's happening just now is as the industry has grown and sites have expanded. I mean, we now are up to 5 loads of malt a week. But back when I was at Port Ellen, we were only 3 loads a week because we've doubled the distillation capacity with the 4 stills. And what Port Ellen are now struggling with is to meet demand, because Kalila, their sort of big distillery, which is the smoke of Johnny Walker, is flat out 7 days. So
they had capacity.
Yeah, so they're now trying to sort of allocate malt between everyone that wants it on island. Clearly that's challenging for them.
So it's really more of a can't than a don't want to from Port Ellen.
Absolutely. I mean, we work closely, and we have. I mean, we've been taking malt from Port Ellen. Ardbeg's been taking malt since 1989, 1990. So a long time. So there were strong relationships built. It's just a case of where the industry is. It's a sign of the confidence and the demand that we're all, making sort of record volumes. It's difficult for maltings that was built 50 years ago to meet that demand.
Yeah, it's a bit hard to just add 2 more drums. Because these drums
cost of cast iron now as well. I know it's a scary prospect.
Bit big.
Yeah, it's not an easy thing to do to expand it. Obviously, the location where it is, but no, we still work closely with them, and we're still bringing malt in this year from Port Ellen. So it's a big part of what we do.
Okay, yeah. Then, Uigeadail, you've been up there today, huh?
So actually, I know I'm looking a bit tired, and I know I'm not looking my normal self here, because this morning we walked up to Uigeadail, and Loch Uigeadail takes its name, sort of for Gaelic, it means like a dark, mysterious, or a strange, mysterious place. Gaelic always had great names and sort of poetic language. But Uigeadail, 54.2%, and this is our big sherried number, if you like. We take Ardbeg in some refill ex-bourbon casks, but we bring it together with a marriage of Oloroso sherry casks, and you get this wonderful, dark, rich, full-bodied Ardbeg. It's a classic. It was a multi-award-winning whiskey when it was launched way back in 2004, and it's been a hugely popular part of our core range. But I thought it would be good to drink, because I was up there earlier, and I tell you, see, when I was climbing that hill, I was dreaming of actually having
need a
one
bottle.
of these. I was thinking I need something to get me through. But it's incredible. You get like, we're warming it up a wee bit here because it's quite cold in here, but it's such depth to that, like
Yeah.
You get those like the classic sherry cask raisiny notes, but
I love
real
it.
bonfire smoke and earthy notes to it. It's incredible.
I always love that you have that nice pairing in Ardbeg with the sherry and the smoke. That just works so well. The Ardbeg smoke just works so well with the sweetness and the fruitiness of the sherry.
It's really interesting when you're maturing in, say, an ex-bourbon cask or an ex-sherry cask, how that impacts your phenolics, how that impacts your... Because we like to talk about breaking down smoke. You know, what is smoke? Is it like a meat smoke? Is it like a herbal smoke? Is it a wood smoke, a coal smoke? You can break it right down, but
With Uigeadail, that really gave me the look into how hard marriaging or blending is.
Yeah.
Because it was here at the Ardbeg Adventure,
Yeah.
and they gave us like a flask of first fill, a flask of second fill, and a flask of I think sherry.
Right, yeah.
And then they gave us a glass of Uigeadail and said, "Make me more of it." And I couldn't do it. It's so hard.
It's so different. See, that's a great experiment because people naturally you go for maybe a lot of sherry cask in there, but finding that balance and sweet spot, and Uigeadail has just been an absolute winner for us.
I think I went far too much on the first fill. I had the first fill and was like, oh, so nice. Oh, that is not the way how you do blending.
It's lovely. You get like this almost like a pine resin, you know.
Yeah, and it has a nice sweetness. But that sweetness now always reminds me of that first fill that you get in your tour when you have that sweetness, just first fill sweetness, sherry fruitiness. Oh, I love it.
Brilliant. Shall we have a
Cheers.
Cheers. Oh, it's just coats the mouth with sweetness, but almost a slightly, there's a wee peppery sort of it. Just again, it's a bit of balance, like a chocolate smoothness with this almost peppery note, and chili chocolate.
That is really spicy.
And that's got a real, but always with Ardbeg, like I said, it's great mouthfeel. Yeah, definitely.
That's what I feel a lot, peppery.
I know.
But combined with that great barbecue smokiness, it feels like a bit of a steak when you have it in your smoker.
Yeah.
With a good amount of fresh ground pepper on it, like that is.
Chilliness to it,
yeah, a bit of chili in that, and I don't know the sweetness how to fit that into, but yeah, nice.
It's just great. I think it's lovely to be sitting tasting it after going up there today. You know, and it's great when you look at like the colour and it's dark. I mean, we were looking at the water sort of cascading down from Uigeadail today, and black, dark water from the peat. You know, and it's been a busy time. Our water this time of year, we like to go up and check things, make sure everything's running, make sure there's plenty of water in the loch because we're going to get drier. We've had a very wet winter and spring so far. So yeah, we just need to keep an eye. We've been busy up there as well because Ardbeg, which the water from Uigeadail feeds into Loch Uigeadail is its technical name, but Ardbeg we call it.
Yeah, that's what I learned today. So the Loch, the Ardbeg is the area.
Yeah, Ardbeg is like it's a hill. It's Gaelic for shelter of the beast. It's where they would sort of hide the cattle in storms. And but locally the loch is known as Ardbeg, but if you look at it on a map, it's Loch Uigeadail. So from Uigeadail it feeds into Loch Uigeadail, Ardbeg, and we actually when I took the job and I had my first day here with Mickey, you know, we looked around the new still house and all these projects going. And he says, "Oh, and another thing, you need to replace the dam." I says, "What do you mean?" He says, "Oh, it's really in bad shape. It's 100 years old. It needs replaced."
Oh, okay.
See you later. So that was a huge project, and last year we had to build a temporary dam. So as the water came from Uigeadail, we sort of had sandbags making a temporary dam, took the water from there so they could rebuild the dam wall at Ardbeg at Loch Uigeadail. Huge project, but we were up there today and it's holding, it's looking good. So, but I will not be touching that for at least another 100 years.
If it holds, it holds.
Yeah, absolutely,
yeah, I've been up there. It's a very nice place.
Yeah.
So, but you've been up there situation-wise. Is it like?
Nah, we're not too bad. This time of year we're okay.
You okay?
There aren't too many bugs, but if you go up there from really from about the end of May onwards, the midges and the flies and things can be wild.
And the tick situation?
Ticks are pretty bad up there just now. And adders, of course, you get.
And adders.
snakes as
Oh,
well.
okay, you got them all.
We do everything to stop people going up there, you know. It's protected. Absolutely.
Okay, so the classic kind of 10-year-old.
10.
Nice.
Ardbeg 10, for me, is the best way to show off this balance. So with this sort of smoky, sooty notes that we have at Ardbeg with this incredible citrus, herbal note, this balance that we get from using really heavily peated malt and the purifier. Essentially, if you use heavily peated malt, fermentation now we're sitting at 66 hours, suits us well, and then by the time you run that through your still, in your spirit stills at Ardbeg, famously we have the purifier, so as you're distilling, your vapours are going up, dropping back in the purifier. Any sort of fusel oils and heavy notes are coming back into the still, which lightens the spirit. And you get this wonderful balance. You can't go wrong with Ardbeg and refill American oak and some first fill American oak bourbon casks, and then it's brought together to make Ardbeg 10. And it's just the great balance, and it is a favourite of mine. Ardbeg 10 is an
How did you describe it before? It has that I would even say a little bit of a. It has a nice smoky note to it, but this one I would describe more as phenolic, more fresh, more.
Yeah, that you quite often get like a slight, slightly creaminess. But I know what you mean. It's fresh. It's like squeezed citric juice, like lime juice or something.
Citric
You
juice,
get this
lime juice.
really.
I'm not quite sure if that is from your character or is that from the cask. It's just such a.
It just seems to tie in well. I think the mix of by having some like a good amount of first fill ex-bourbon casks in there, the American oak you get, where you're pushing up your vanillins and getting these sort of vanilla notes. It just seems to work and really amplify some of these citrusy notes.
But this is really different from what we had Uigeadail 5 or the Beastie.
Yeah.
It's much more fresh. The sherry is having a 100% turn on this.
Oh, I think Ardbeg 10 is a great go.
It is. It's totally different to the other two.
Yeah. It is. Have a taste.
Just
Cheers.
But the creaminess, the texture to it, combined with that citrusy note, it's there in the flavor, and
Yeah, it's that when it comes,
smoke.
you get this like almost slightly mouth-watering sweetness. Very, very fruity, real sweetness to it, and then there's the mouthfeel. There's the smoke, everything coming back, that wood smoke, that tarry note to it.
It's strange, but you really got that smokiness is really down to Ardbeg smokiness. That's really, really strange how you managed to get that smokiness, because I think a lot of people who are having too much Ardbeg out there, they can really put you out in a blind tasting. Like, yeah, that's an Ardbeg.
Yeah, I know. And I always think it's one of the greatest things about working in the industry we do is how different we all are on Islay, even across the road here, by using the same ingredients. And Ardbeg for me, it's such balance, and I know what you mean. The smoke is very distinct.
Yeah, it's strange.
It's it's not medicinal. It's not like an earthy smoke. It's I'd describe it as like a sort of wood smoke, but just great mouth. You get that such good ash mouth coating on it. It's lovely.
Yeah, I find it also what you said. I find that is really great within the whiskey industry. But when you come down to the production, you have so many dials and levers and things you can turn. Leave it in a bit longer. Tastes totally different.
Yeah, absolutely. I think when you go, that's again when we're sampling like we've probably got about 18,000 casks in the warehouse just now. But if you same filling, same date of filling, and your same cask type, but we'll try one side by side. You know,
it is a bit
the
different.
variance from maturation is incredible. Yeah.
Yeah, so I would always be afraid to, if I worked in the industry, they would, if they would call me up for like, yeah, you do a bit of that marrying and try to match the flavor profile. I was like, no.
You bring it all together. That's where it can be difficult.
Whiskey creation team is I think everybody's like, oh yeah, dream job. No, it's a tough job.
Yeah,
it's a tough job.
High pressure job. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So you took over Mickey Head's quite an iconic person.
Yeah.
So how is it to get into his shoes? How is it to run Ardbeg?
Yeah, it's been brilliant. Like I love the distillery and the place, and I knew a lot of the team here, and I knew we had a great team here, and we genuinely do. We've got a really strong team in production here, and my warehousing team really very, very strong, and people who genuinely care about the place. So I knew a bit of what I was coming into. What was strange, and Mickey I knew well, because Mickey, when I worked at the Maltings and when I was at Lagavulin, I'd known him and met him a good few times and always got on very well with him. So, but it was difficult because it was COVID. It was sort of first year of COVID, and we were in probably our third lockdown. By the time I got in the door, Mickey was on his last day, so we had 1 day hand. 13 years he'd been here, all this knowledge. But because I had a great team around me, I knew we'd be fine. But we got we had a walk around, and like I was saying, you know, he showed me these things: new stillhouse, new filling store.
So the stillhouse was already built when he.
Stillhouse was there. The stills were in place, but there was still pipe work to be done.
Also,
the electronics hadn't been done. There were loads to be done.
So the adjustment of the stills and everything, and finding the spirit was all yours.
Yeah. and that's quite a nervous experience as well, because it was the first time in over 100 years probably we'd built a new stillhouse, if you like. So to move into a new one, you know it's got to be spirit quality. You don't want, that's absolutely, quality has to be king. You know, you don't want any issues. So we had some great discussions, and Bill, we worked closely with Dr. Bill as well about how we were going to do it, and it still took a good few weeks to really bed in and oxidise the copper, but we're making great spirit. We're very, very happy with it. So no, it's been good. But he's still around, Mickey. I see him, and
does he come up sometimes?
Yeah, and he helps. He does actually when we get a lot of visits.
So he is a proper Islander.
Oh, he's an Isle boy through and through. Yeah, he's an Isle. Yeah, so when he, we see him, and like when we got maybe some visits or people coming from some of the, he'll sometimes take them out peat cutting as well. And he's a great guy. And I mean, I'm only the 21st manager here in 200 odd years. So we tend to do long spells. So I just feel like I'm the custodian. You're just I'm looking after the place for the next X number of years. So, he did a great job, Mickey, and he's a legend in the industry. So.
Oh yeah, he is. Yeah, I went peat cutting with him as well. So wait, does he do peat cutting for himself at his home, or?
Well, his
isn't that the proper term for Ilyach?
And Ilyach, yeah. So he but he's still got family links here. So Graham, who is on shift. He was actually been on night shift for me last night. Graham is his nephew. And it's Graham's family croft.
Okay.
Mickey will sometimes cut peats there as well. Everyone's related on Islay. It's very close. It's very close links. And actually, Graham, who works here, his father was on shift for me at Lagavulin. So, I mean, it's all very close now.
Yeah, but I do love the Islay spirit. I mean, when you drive, I'm not quite sure how that is in summer in tourist season, but when you drive around, everybody's like greeting you. Like, you're like, okay, I have to do that, otherwise I'm really unpolite.
It's good you do it, because we used to play a game, wave or no wave, to try and work out who was the tourist and the local when I first came here. So if you got a wave, you knew it was a local. So
if I do the wave, then I don't look like a tourist.
To Islay. You've settled in well.
Yeah, but that was there when I came in 2015. It's still there, and I love it.
Yeah, no, everyone waves.
But up till now, I didn't get any sheep on the street, so...
No. There's at the airport, you'll see them on the runway. But yeah, so...
Okay, we have the great finale then.
Oh, what a treat. We've got Ardbeg 25.
You had it twice now, and I know it's awesome.
Well, like I say, you can't go wrong with Ardbeg in American oak. And the 25-year-old, it's all ex-bourbon casks, and it is just an absolute beautiful dram. So I mean, 25 years ago, we were sort of getting really up and running again because the distillery had shut through the 80s, shut again in 1996. 97 Glenmorangie bought the distillery, so it was really about getting everything optimised again, getting every consistency and making great liquid, and then we were laying this down in good casks.
So it was like just Glenmorangie just bought you?
Yeah, like not long. Yeah, they got us.
And you got a new mash tun.
Yeah, well, we got the old mash tun was replaced out.
Maybe there's some of the old mash tun in there. Maybe.
Yeah, it will be. It was 99 actually when the mash tun was replaced.
It says at least 25 years.
There's some older whiskey in there. I mean, we've just disgorged for the new 25, and there's whiskey over 25 years old in there. But it's so like
it's round, waxy, and
waxy, absolutely.
But still,
creaminess to it. There is a real
good amount of smoke in there.
Yeah, it's
Good
still
amount
there.
of smoke. I've had some smoky Islay whiskies, 20, 30, sometimes even 40. I think I had a 50 as well. But this one kept its smokiness pretty well.
Also on the nose, with the longer through maturation and the more sort of wood impact from the cask, it does subdue it on the nose. So it's really, when you taste it, you're still going to get that good mouth coating as well.
Yeah, it still has that tar character.
But there's like a lemony, lemon meringue or something. It's like a lemon dessert. It's just beautiful.
What I find strange is that you still have that freshness a little bit in there. I didn't have that in any 25 years old. I don't think I had many that I would call there's freshness in there, because usually it's like, there's maturity in there. And still, it has maturity in as well.
I know, there's a real tropical fruity note as well. It's just, it's absolutely sensational. The 25's been a winner. It's just, again, it's been a great whiskey to add to the range.
I love it. So, cheers.
Here, Slàinte
Slàinte.
It's like mouth watering.
46.
Yeah.
It has a power to it. Usually 25 is much more mellow. It has a power. Also has a good amount of oak in it.
Yeah.
Still a lot of pepper in there.
Yeah, you do get, again, that's just the way the stills and how we pan out with production. But, there's a creaminess and there's a real sweetness to it, vanilla, fudge. But like you say, that it's like smoky limes or something. There's just kind of like the citruses with the smoke. It's but the smoky absolutely stays with it.
I love it how it always tastes different at the distillery.
Being in the place helps, doesn't it?
Yeah, it is just different. Oh, I love it.
What a whiskey.
Oh, that's a nice whiskey. I didn't think that you would bring out the 25-year-old just like 5, 10, 25. But
we know we've got a lot of big fans in Germany. It's a big market for Ardbeg, and we see the passion of our German fans when they come over.
Oh yeah, they are.
We get many visits, and like you say, when you're in the place and people are here drinking great whiskey. So when you're here, I thought we better get the good.
Also, I did have the Trevan. I think Trevan is 17, or is it? There are more batches.
Well, it's a 19-year-old Trevan.
Didn't it start with 17 in batch 1 and 19 now? I'm not quite sure, but
19.
19 is always 19.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's because that was batch 4, the one I picked last year. So.
Oh, okay.
We're working through them. Mickey picked the first, then Jackie, and then Bill picked the third, and then I picked last year.
Oh, is it everybody?
We'll go through a range of, like you're talking about when you're bringing together, because again, it's a mix of casks, of all are also sherry cask and refill bourbon casks, and then we'll go for what we like. So we tried to push the sherry a wee bit last year, but no, it's another great whiskey.
Yeah, the thing is with Ardbeg, what I do really love is you have a good core range, but you have so many special editions.
We like to play like innovation's like a sort of buzzword in the industry just now, but we've always, Bill especially, has liked to try things and put things, away and try. Years ago, playing about and trying, because we have to be careful. It has to be liquid lead. We have to make sure we're laying down stuff that is interesting and people are gonna.
Yeah, with him, I always thought like Dr. Bill Lumsden. He's like very. Conservative or something. No, he's a playful guy, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he's a great character. Bill. He's an absolute. Yeah, he's a legend. He's a great guy and a great character. Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, so thank you very much for showing me this great collection of whiskey, and thank you very much for having us here at the distillery. That was just a lovely experience.
Pleasure. Thank you, sir.
Yeah,
Cheers.
Thank you very much. Yeah, and thank you very much for watching. And if you found this video interesting, then please feel free to share this video with your friends. And if you live in Germany, Austria, or now in Netherlands, you can try these whiskeys or buy these whiskeys at whisky.de and whisky.com. Thank you very much, and see you next time.